Ashley, are we live? Okay. All right. We're in the home stretch. Thank you for those of you that returned. It looks like we lost some to lunch. But we will now proceed with the Wyoming School Board Association. Mr. Farmer, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Brian Farmer. I'm the Executive Director of the Wyoming School Boards Association. Mr. Chairman, if it would please the committee, I have some brief introductory comments, and then it would be my intention to turn things over to Mr. Sterling, who is the plan administrator for the insurance trust.
Please proceed, Mr. Farmer.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, the Wyoming School Boards Association Insurance Trust was created in 1995 as a statutory trust under the laws of Wyoming. Today it is regulated by the Wyoming Department of Insurance as a MIWA, a multi-employer welfare agreement. And so it exists as a partially self-funded trust that is really owned and governed by the participating districts. The participating districts make up a board of directors that make decisions for the plan and the benefits that the plan is able to offer. And I think the reason it was created and the reason that it persists today is that those member districts really have a desire to define the plan itself. They have a desire to say, what do I want my insurance to look like? And what kind of benefits will help us as a school district to attract and to retain our employees. I think in this process over the last 30 years, we've viewed competition as a very important part of the insurance market for school districts, that competition is healthy, competition drives good practice, and with that, I think it would be best for you to hear from Mr. Sterling, who is the plan administrator and serves as the chairman of that board.
All right. Thank you, Brian. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, again, my name is Terry Sterling. And I think everybody probably has a copy of the presentation. And it's not my intent to go through that. I believe it's fairly explanatory. I think all of us want to be out of here by 5 o'clock today, so if not sooner.
It may be sooner than that.
But I wanted to just maybe touch on just some highlights kind of in general on the presentation. And as Mr. Farmer mentioned, this program was started by school districts. And as it was put together, they wanted something different. And hopefully as you looked through the presentation, you looked at it and went, this is a little bit different. This is not maybe your normal insurance type program. So as we were putting the program together, as it kind of started to get pieced together, one of the first things that the districts wanted was choice. We don't want just a single plan. We don't want to be really told what to do. We want a variety of plans. I think at one point in time, we actually had 13 different plans that we offered to the districts. We're down now to the 5 that I have presented to you there. And each one of those plans has a different premium associated with it. And again, that comes back to some choice. The districts can look at it and say, we would like to fund, say, Plan B, which is the lower deductible plan. It's a higher cost, but for us as a district, it works better to offer this lower deductible plan. Other districts might look at it and say, you know what, we'll fund, say, Plan G, which is a lower premium. We'll take some of those dollars that we're going to save on the insurance, and we'll shift it over here to salary. But at the end of the day, it's up to each district as far as what plan they want to choose, how they want to fund them, and so they have that choice. Control was another big issue that the districts looked at. For the most part, we allow our districts, again, to choose which plans they want. to choose what eligibility, do they want to cover 20 hours, do they want to cover 30 hours? Those type of decisions get made at the district level. We do not mandate to them. As the association, we're big proponents of local control, and so many of those ideals kind of transfer over into this program. They also wanted to have some say-so in how this program is ran. So each one of the participating districts actually sits on the Board of Trustees. They make the decisions. Every year we look at it and they make decisions on, do we keep our claims payer? What do we want to offer for benefits? Right down to, how does our renewal methodology look? We'll review that, and they get to see the numbers. We look at the numbers, we show the process. And so I chair that board, but there's some really smart folks that I work with as the trustees that help make all of the decisions on that board. One of those things that I believe is a real differential for us. Transparency was another one of the factors that they really wanted as part of this program. And so they see everything. The districts that participate in it, the board members, they see the claims data. Like I mentioned, they see the renewal, how that's calculated. There's no hidden numbers there. They get to see it all, completely transparent. And then the last thing is let's do something different. Let's be a little maybe creative. And when you think of insurance, generally the words insurance and creativity don't necessarily are spoken in the same sentence. And if you look through that package, I think a couple of examples of our creativity. A year ago, we implemented a virtual primary care program. It's at no cost to the members. It's all virtual. I think one of the lessons we learned from COVID is that the virtual medicine actually can work in many, many cases. We've offered this year a virtual physical therapy program. So you've had some surgery and you're kind of to that maintenance point. This is an option for you to actually do it on your phone. A weight loss program. You read about all of the GLP-1s and the Wegovy's, and our members said, look, we'd like to cover that. How can we make that happen? And so we were able to accommodate that request. I was reminded last night at dinner, another one of those decisions that was made by our board was hearing aids. And again, we studied it, we looked at it, and we found a way to respond to the needs of our members and made that available to them. So for the most part, I guess that's really what I wanted to kind of highlight. I would certainly be available to answer any of the questions that you have on any specific slides or any portion of the presentation. But Mr. Chairman, that's really all I have at this point in time.
Thank you, Mr. Sterling. Committee, any questions for Mr. Sterling or Mr. Farmer? Any questions? I guess that shows how well the presentation was, Mr. Sterling.
All right, well, thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we have the Wyoming Educators Benefit Trust. Ms. Hageman, welcome.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, my name is Cheryl Hageman. I am a director for Willis Towers Watson. Myself and 4 of my executive directors serve as consultants for the Wyoming Educators Benefit Trust, WEBT, otherwise known as WEPT. I'm here today to help however I can facilitate a better understanding of the WEBT program. I would ask for some grace as I have not been before you or before a committee in many years, so I may fall out of protocol and I may mispronounce names. With that, would you like me to
Ms. Hageman, would you scoot that mic like a rock star right there close to you?
As long as I don't have to dance.
All right.
WEBT was established through a very distinct collaboration of the Wyoming Education Association, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Wyoming, and a consultant back in 1971. At that time, educational entities within the state were unable to find affordable health care. Since WEA sponsored the program, 7 educational entities participated, and a board was created of members within education. In 1985, the trust went from a fully insured environment. When I mean fully insured, you pay your claims, you pay a premium, and your insurance company pays for everything for you. The liability stops at your premium. In 1985, the trust felt it was in a good enough position to become self-funded. And to Mr. Sterling's point, becoming self-funded allowed a lot more opportunity for choice, allowed our groups the opportunity to give input to what will better serve each and every one of them. In 2005, WEBT started to begin to think, how else can we serve the citizens of Wyoming? What a better thing to do than to open our trust to other public entities, cities, towns, counties, special districts that oftentimes were unable to get affordable health care. So any questions so far?
Seeing none,
Okay, thank you.
please continue.
As we moved out from 2005 until current, in 2017, it became very apparent we are running a very great, big group health plan. As such, we talked with the WEA, and we agreed as a team, our trustees, that the WEA would no longer be the sponsor of WEBT. However, since they were part of the inception of WEBT, the president of the WEA would serve on our board of trustees. So since that time, we've grown to 95 public sector employers, cities, towns, counties, special districts, and school districts. I will tell you, our educational population makes up 24 school districts and 7 other educational entities. The population, membership-wise, from our school districts is about 80% of our population, with the other 74 groups making up 20% of the population. Currently, our objective is to spread our risk over a larger base of people, to better predict future claims, to help people in the event of an unexpected large claim. In order to do so, we have to make sure we have adequate reserves, which we do, and that means that if we all went to the doctor today and those claims did not come in for 3 or 4 or 5 months, and some of our communities, maybe a year, we would still have money to fund those claims through the end of WEBT. We work very hard to talk to each group. We make sure that we explain to them the risk involved of being a trust. And then again, we do have a board of trustees. Our board of trustees represent different regions, different types, public entities, school districts, special districts, as well, again, as I said, the WEA, which is also a membership group for WEBT. We utilize the Blue Cross Blue Shield of Wyoming network here in Wyoming. We utilize Delta Dental here in Wyoming, and we also utilize the Vision Services Plan. We believe we want to keep our business in Wyoming. Our members expect to keep our business in Wyoming. We are Wyoming citizens, and we provide all client service within the state of Wyoming. We offer local customer service through my office. We speak to the humanity of the difficulties of group health plans. I don't want to call the back of an ID card to speak to somebody about my health insurance claim. I want to talk to somebody that knows me, that understands me, the trials and tribulations of healthcare, and I want to be able to pick up my phone each and every day and speak to a person. And I can assure you today, several members behind me, we have gone through a lot together. Marriages, divorces, death, life. I want to ensure that people in Wyoming are getting that care when they dial WEBT. We do currently offer a selection of up to 9 medical plans. We have 4 traditional plans. We have 5 traditional plans, which is a standard plan where you pay a deductible, co-insurance, your out-of-pocket maximum. You can have first dollar benefits, such as a copay, and we also offer 4 high deductible health plans. The offer of high deductible health plans in today's world is very important, and especially to our younger generation. If they have the right tools in place with a high deductible health plan, they are able to save in their premiums and potentially put that savings into a health savings account to take with them for years to come. That goes from employer to employer to employer. We do also offer telehealth services. And of course, the most important thing right now for mental health care, we offer a free employee assistance program. So our medical costs will vary, and as Terry Sterling alluded to earlier, it all depends on the needs of our local districts. What is going to work for Teton County School District number 1 is not going to work for Pavilion for Fremont County number 6, right? We have to be very careful when we're going through difficult conversations and talking about the impacts of costs that we're having today, that we're making decisions based not on local control, but on local choice, and about working with our membership to ensure that we cover their needs. One size fits all is not something that ever comes into play in my world. I think that is one of the things that WBT prides itself on. Again, currently 95 districts. I believe each of you have a member that is touched by WEBT within your constituent group. And with that, I'm happy to answer questions.
Thank you, Mr. Hageman. Any questions from the committee? Thank you for your presentation.
Well,
It's been
thank you very
informative.
much.
Okay. We will now open it up for public comment concerning educational health insurance. And also, committee, it's kind of an open forum. If you have any questions that you would like to ask anyone in this room, let's bring those questions up and we can ask them to come forward. But any public comments at all, please come forward. Mr. Winnie, welcome.
Mr. Chairman, Bill Winnie, Sublette County. I apologize for not being here yesterday and this morning. I had some important business up in Powell, but the roads were uneventful this morning, so here I am. What I'd like to talk about briefly is when is insurance, or in this case health insurance, not really insurance? I'm going to speak to the inner workings and hidden mechanisms of some aspects of health insurance. A particular district that I'm aware of some years ago was self-insured up to apparently about $70,000. The superintendent was overheard by a technician who was working on his computer in his office and speaking to his business manager, and he remarked that he got rid of staff that was over 40 years of age because they were just too expensive for health insurance. And that was in fact used against my wife. The other aspects of it are not germane here, but she was let go after having assisted directly in raising the ACT performance of the district by 8%. And the comment I would make to you is simply, whatever you structure for health insurance and however you put it together, the administrators should not have visibility into the specific claims any particular person makes. That made a difference in this one. Subject to your questions, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Winnie. Representative Yin, please.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Mr. Winnie, I'm pretty sure age discrimination is illegal federally. Did your wife try to take it to court or
Yes.
fight this at all?
Yes, it went to the federal level. And the particular comment I mentioned was passed off by a federal judge as being just an isolated conversation. Every time I've seen that kind of thing in my 30 years active duty in the military, it was viewed as a window into somebody's real heart. Unfortunately, that didn't help here.
Any other questions for Mr. Winnie? Mr. Winnie, thank you for sharing that personal experience. I'm sure that's been a burden on your family life for some time. Thank you.
Well,
for
it's been
sharing
interesting. And the district lost the skills of, like I said, in this case, a reading instructional facilitator that in fact had taken a declining ACT score performance and raised it 8%. That's something like 6 or 8 or 10 points on the ACT scale. Thank you.
Thank you very much for being here. Any other public comments, public testimony? Representative Kelly, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a question. Since we have a whole bunch of people there, if anyone would like to jump up and answer it, I'd greatly appreciate it. One of our concerns here on recalibration has been teacher retention and teacher morale, and this is part of teacher compensation. The presentation let us know that the districts have chosen this certain healthcare array of policies. But I'd like to know how the districts make that decision. How involved are the teachers? Are these the plans the teachers want, or did the district pick these plans for other reasons? I'd just like to know how the districts made these decisions towards these plans.
We have a volunteer.
Mr. Chairman, Jeremy Smith, business manager, Sheridan 1. Over my career in Wyoming, I've actually been a part of a self-funded trust in Powell, and then WisBait and WEPT. So I've personally used all three kind of versions of what you've seen. Great question on plan design. Like how does that happen? What are the kind of things that go into deciding what type of plan do you offer, right? And so I think this is common in most places, most districts. We get together with our staff members, depends on the district, sometimes several times a year, sometimes a couple times a year. It just maybe depends on what's going on. And we have these kinds of conversations. What kind of health needs do you have that the current plan designs don't adequately address? So you heard what Mr. Sterling said. So currently our district is part of the WisBait Trust. Some of the things that were coming up to me as a business manager and to other administrators was, hey, what about these GLP-1 things? How do we get, teledoc kind of on steroids with mental health counseling as an option, or primary care or urgent care? So those conversations come from the employees through various mechanisms of things that like, hey, this is what we currently offer. Is there something in this mix that isn't, addressing whatever needs you might have? So to your question, Representative Kelly, plan design comes bottom up in our district, and I think I'm speaking adequately for most districts. That's the process. So that's how come the WisBait Trust has so many different plans, is that not one size fits all within a state, not one size fits all even within a district. We have employees who've chosen every one of those plans for their various needs. So I hope that kind of adequately answers that question, but.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Ms. Lewis. There you go.
There we go. Thank you, Co-Chair Heiner. And I would like to respond to this as well to the committee. I actually am the vice chairman of the Wyoming School Boards Association Insurance Trust Board, and have, obviously, Jeremy worked for me for 5 years. And at that time, we were fully self-funded. And you run into difficulties when you're just a district that on your own, you have large claims, all of a sudden you're upside down. We had somebody that had a transplant, and we had to laser them out to the tune of $800,000 that our district had to set aside in reserves just to be able to afford what was going on. We then explored all options, of which WEP Trust, at that time, Wyoming School Boards Association Insurance Trust, and we did actually work with an outside consultant, independent, and we did explore going into the state plan at that time. What we decided on, because of our ability to be flexible, choose plans that our employees liked, we had an insurance committee of staff members that actually always had worked through that. When I went to Park One in 2000, what actually happened there was the employees were integral in everything that happened with the health insurance, because the board always said that they wanted the money to go to salaries. That was their focus. It was salaries versus is heavy on benefits. So you need to understand that. It has remained that way in many aspects of that is we feel like salaries benefit all employees. Health insurance does not benefit everyone unless everyone takes it, and not everyone takes that. You can see that it doesn't happen on the state plan. It won't happen on any of these plans. Wyoming School Boards Association Insurance Trust, all we do as a district is we set the contribution level. So we determine which plan we're going to fund on. Our district funds on Plan C in our district. That's the choice we make. We will pay that contribution, single and family, across any plan that you choose for an employee. You can choose Plan C, you can choose Plan D, you can choose Plan E or Plan G or Plan B. Our plans, we have plans that the employee as a family pays 0 on. The district still pays whatever the contribution rate is. We did a survey, I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, but let's just say it's about $21,000 a year. The district still funds that. The employee makes the choice. We don't tell them what plan to take. We don't tell them that they have to take single or family. We don't do any of that. We also, this last year, put in the Revive Health, not as whiz-bait. It's part of for our coverage that has that. All our non-benefit employees that aren't eligible for insurance, and in our district, it is 30 hours a week. That's the choice that our board has made. And then anyone that actually doesn't take our health insurance too. So your spouse is covered under Northwest College's plan or under an independent plan. The district actually pays that monthly premium on behalf of all the rest of our employees. It's one of the things that we were able to do as part of a benefit package. And so they all have access to some type of health care for their entire family, including mental health, which we think is really important. So we actually took that on as part of our benefit package last year because we felt it was very important to do. So I really, truly believe that we do take the employee into consideration. They actually make those choices for themselves, and we like that they are able to do that. But again, I'm going to be one of the districts, if you look, that we don't have everybody, we're 60-some% of that. But it's a funding model, it's a resource model, and I look at the entire what we get for funding. We actually use that then to determine, again, salary and benefit package. And of the amount that we got in extra money this year through the ECA and through what was done through the legislature last year for that funding, we received about $1.3 million. $1.2 million of that went out in salary and benefits to our employees. We did have some other increased costs, so we kept a little bit of it to cover other costs that went up. But other than that, it all went into salary and benefits. So I just wanted to share that as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lewis. Yes, please.
Thank you, Chairman Heiner. Through you to Representative Kelly, Chase Christensen, Sheridan County 3. Similar comments, just wanted to point out this year, our district did go through a RFQ process to look at various options for health insurance. I think you have heard through the various meetings that we've had to this point, and especially yesterday and today, districts with the block grant work very hard to identify dollars that we can push toward teacher salary and employee salary. And I would say that health insurance is no different in that realm. So I'm always looking as a district to find ways that we can shave cost in one area that we can then reallocate to teacher salary, and specifically looking through that for health insurance. I honestly thought going into a process this spring that we would be able to move from one trust to another, move from one trust to the state plan, move to a private entity that could save our district significantly, and we could then increase teacher pay. Through that, I found that was not the case. Costs were very similar across the state plan, mostly because the state plan does require you to pay for all eligible employees, not only the employees that are taking that plan. So as we looked at it, state plan, WEPT, WISBATE, very similar costs. And then when you start to think about moving toward an outside provider, there gets to be some worries with regard to what that cost is going to look like on a year-to-year basis. The trusts are very efficient and do a great job for us of at least establishing some guardrails with regard to some maximum ups and downs for costs that we know we're not going to be seeing a 100% year-over-year increase, where we are able to budget and build some good plans in for employee compensation as well as that health insurance piece. So like I said, we were not able to find too much of a difference in terms of cost to the district between the three big plans that we've heard from today. What that boiled down to then is we have been a part of the WISBATE Trust for quite some time. They have in-network providers in both Sheridan and Johnson County that provide our employees great options for their health care. And without having to cause a ruckus, cause change to them for some insignificant 2 to 3 or 5% savings, it just makes sense to continue to have that WISBATE Trust continue to serve the employees. They appreciate that healthcare. It's done well for them over the long term, and it continues to do so. Thank you. I'd take any questions.
Representative Kelly, any follow-up? Mr. Christensen, you said that with the state plan, you had to pay for all eligible FTEs and not just the ones that want to participate in the plan?
Yeah,
Can you explain that a little bit to me?
The state, and they did in their presentation today, explain that where there's some minimum level of funding, some $900 for the single plan, where regardless of benefits chosen, if somebody just chose dental, you're still going to pay that $900 in, and it goes into that plan and helps pay out other entities. But you pay based on eligibility, not based on participation.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Christensen.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other public comments or public testimony at this time? This is open forum, Representative. You pick the topic.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, this is maybe for LSO or Dr. Pikus and your team. I was looking through your presentation here and unable to find it on the fly on my little phone. We know why we're considering this, because we're looking at funding recalibration. So ultimately, we're talking about dollar amounts. What are the potential effects on what the state would have to fund if all district employees, full-time employees were under the state plan? How much of a savings potentially are we looking at? Because I'm trying to discern, is that dollar amount worth taking away from this flexibility away from the districts?
Mr. Chairman and Representative Kelly, it's unknown, and I think there's probably some policy considerations for you all to maybe think about for the next meeting. The first is currently your participation or eligibility rules for employees, I believe EGI indicated is 20 hours a week. Employee has to work 20 hours a week. I think most districts are at 30 hours a week. And so you could increase the state employee requirement to 30 hours a week to mirror what districts are doing. Or if they do come on and you keep that 20-hour week, you expose yourself to potentially more employees that are eligible that are currently participating in the school districts, which then would likely increase the cost than what districts are already paying. So that's your first consideration. Second is related to federal and non-state funded employees, food service employees. Is it your intent to pay for food service employees or not? Those are currently, I would say, mostly funded by the operations of school districts' food service programs, but as you heard, and Dr. Pike has indicated, there's about a $13 to $18 million difference in revenues and expenditures. Is that primarily due to health benefit plans? I don't know, but that's a consideration for you all to consider. And then there's these, the federal employee positions that are generally half-time, or they could be half-time state funded, half-time federally funded. And so coordinating the proportional amount that districts would have to identify for their federally funded staff and non-federally funded staff. Then there are some unique circumstances up in districts with federal impact aid. And so you would just have to be very specific on who would be eligible and who would not be eligible under your requirements, and who in the districts are the responsibility of those non-state school foundation program funds.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So would it be fair to say then, since the value is unknown, that is the factors involved would be essentially how permissive and generous we decided for that plan to be, and the less permissive and the less generous we decided to be, the more money the state would save?
Mr. Chairman, Representative Kelly, certainly that's a factor in terms of, you know, what your deductible amounts are, what your offerings are. If you, I was presuming no changes in the offerings would occur, but if you do bring 48 school districts or the 47 additional school districts onto the state plan, they are now the predominant employer or employers in that plan. And does that plan then look different? Do they have different needs? And so, you know, that would obviously be a future conversation with EGI and that board that makes up those plan offerings, and whether or not that's more expensive or less expensive would be part of the determining overall cost. It is, Mr. Chairman. With that, the next meeting of this committee is October 28th and 29th back here in Casper. At that meeting, the next meeting would then be in January of 2026. It's our anticipation and expectations that the committee provide drafting instructions at that October meeting. You'll also receive a final report from Dr. Pikus and his team. Those items that were not covered at this meeting are going to be included. Salaries, regional cost adjustment, external cost adjustment, student activities, central office. I think that's it. Or, so yeah, central office, personnel and non-personnel, and small school. Oh yeah, and operations and maintenance. Thank you. So those will be, at least the salaries and regional cost adjustment will be robust discussions, I anticipate. We'll work with the chairman to coordinate their preference on how to structure the agenda, but that's what you'll have left for the remaining components of the funding model.
Thank you. So I invite everyone to return in October for round 3 of a robust discussion. Thank you for your attendance. I know you sacrificed to be here on a Friday afternoon, but appreciate your participation. And with that, we'll adjourn this meeting.
Good job.